uh, e-commerce or like supply chain management or whatever. So you don't have to use social media marketing. You can use right, other strategies. However, you need to have the same form of reasoning as the one that I'm explaining today, right? What are the characteristics of the solution that you want to apply, and what are the strategic advantages that the people obtain from using it, what are the different types, and so on. Yeah. So today it will be an example of what you can do to describe your strategy, but it doesn't mean that all of you have to do exactly the same as the one I'm explaining. So let's start with that. If there is any question, you can ask, right? Otherwise, we will have a class that is about 25 minutes. Then we will have a break. So before the break, you can ask questions. Then we have those 10 or 15 minutes break. Then we have the second part that is also another 25 minutes. And so in between those two breaks, we can have the questions that are referred either to the presentation or to the contents of your report, right? In most of the classes, we have had lots of questions. And so I guess in your, so if every, we will finish the class about 10, 15 minutes earlier. And that is again the time for you to ask the final questions before you complete your report, because next week I will check the reports, right? Also, either this weekend or next week, another tutorial for P6, with which everything should be completed. If you have a question about anything of that, then you should ask now or before the breaks. Yeah. So let's start. If it's correct, you should be able to see my screen. Oops, sorry. And that is unit 14. Rescale the camera so I can see you. Yeah. So unit 14 is about, LO4 is about presenting the design of a selected mobile application to support the digital strategy within an organization. That means that you have to, design one mobile application that will support the strategy in your organization. Which strategy? The one that you have determined on P5, right? Now on P5, probably you have ended with a set of 2, 3 different strategies. And so from those strategies, you would either combining or selecting one of them, you will end up with an app that allows you to address that strategy. And that is what you will be doing on P6, which is LO4. Today, we will be talking about social media, and therefore we need to make 3 definitions first. First one, what is social media, right? And social media is the tool or the venue that allows for social interaction. So basically the place where you can interact with others. And social network are the links that you have with other people or organizations that you have become acquainted with at one point in time. And then you have social media marketing, which is using that social media or networks for marketing your brand. There are 3 different types of social networking sites: general, niche, social bookmarking. In the general social networking sites, you have Facebook, right? Then you have the niche social networking sites for a specific market. So in this case, for businesses, we have LinkedIn, right? You have for family, you have for dating, like friend. You have special interests in hobbies and for shopping as well. And then you have these social bookmarking sites where you can share some of your preferred websites. In academics, we have Mendeley that has a social work component where you can share the articles that you find interesting with others. Yeah, so academic articles. Then, penetration of social network in the US at the time of the book, so 2017, that was 53% for Facebook, 35% for Instagram, 20% for Pinterest, 9% for Tumblr, and 21% for changed. It has increased, right? It also has increased. There is a large part of the population in Vietnam that is already joining the social networks, especially young people. And in Vietnam and pretty much all over the world, there is now a social network. Then we have the social Facebook as the largest social media site. At the time of the book, of course, 2017, there were about 1.2 billion users worldwide, and $10 billion were spent on advertising on Facebook. And Facebook has a very good characteristic which allows you to select with extreme detail the type of audience that you can let your advertising see. So it is quite precise on allowing you to select the right for your message. Then, in terms of demographics, the trends are that they're meaning young people is leaving Facebook for other social networks nowadays, especially TikTok, right, Telegram, which are easier to protect your privacy than Facebook does. They do a better work on that. Then you have other individuals, 50 plusers, that are joining increasingly Facebook. It has happened in Vietnam as well. And something that is said on social media is that if your grandparents are on Facebook, it's time for you to leave, and that is what is happening. Okay, so Facebook is transitioning to a different type of use than being a regular social network for young people. In terms of the usage, right, people in US, there is very less frequent updates on their social media accounts, whereas in Vietnam, that would be kind of the opposite, right? People who are on social media, they are likely to be very active and refreshing their profiles at least daily, if not multiple times a day. On Instagram, which is a mobile photo and video sharing application that is owned by Facebook with about 200 million users at the time of the book. Then most of those users were young, wealthy, and female, which were websites. Because of the type of users that they had, Instagram was very much used because people who were on Instagram, they were likely to try to showcase their lifestyle on the picture that included branded goods, not just clothes, but all kinds of branded goods. Uh, then we have Twitter, which is the micro-blogging service. It used to be restricted to 140 characters. Nowadays, of course, you can have a few more words than that. And again, at the time of the book, there were 54 million users, 41% of which were minority, which in the US, that means non-whites, right? And because of this social composition, Twitter was an excellent tool to reach that part of the market, right? People who in other occasions will not get found. Also, it was very interesting for small businesses to use Twitter because they could get response very quickly. Then for companies, it is a very good tool to monitor what are people thinking and feeling about your products. There are specialized to download 2 million, 1 million messages at the same time, and then you can analyze them using different forms or algorithms. Okay? Thinking about if you are going to use Twitter, objective and some metrics for this objective about what that you want to bring. And so when you are sending messages of that brand, then you have to make sure that the message that you're going to bring forward is always very consistent and is always bringing out the same message so that you don't confuse the users, right? The same message in the longer, in the wide lines, right? You should focus on building relationships. That means that every message should help you to make the customer feel more related towards you, and you have to answer the customer comments. So of course, many companies nowadays, because they can receive like a million replies or 100,000 replies to their messages, then they are using automated to reply to customer comments. You should not always do that because there is a weakness on the bots. And the weakness on the bots is that they normally use keywords to identify the type of response that they have to send. And sometimes those responses are nothing to do with the message that has been sent, or the comment that has been sent by the user, because the bots, they don't understand the nuances of the language. So you have to be very careful with that. Then we have Pinterest, right? Pinterest is a bulletin board style social network where 70% of the users are female, right? Out of 70 million users. And here, because of their graphic form, food and fashion were the main items being shared. Also, I can add that at a professional level, interior design was something that really exploded Pinterest, right? Because of its graph to share people's taste. Then we have YouTube, right? YouTube in 2017 surpassed Facebook and Twitter in terms of the likes and the comments that are made on as a reaction to a video, right? Which means that YouTube became one of the mainstream social media sites. Then we have a large number of consumer-generated content. If you look at CoverGirl and Revlon, 99% of the content available online was not sponsored by the company, but was generated by people who bought the products and used them and gave a review or gave tips about how to use them. Then we have a tendency for fans to produce videos about either using or repairing some of the goods that are being bought, especially on software and technology, right? You will see lots of videos about how to use and repair your products, which in a certain way they are filling the void that you get with the manuals. Normally, when you buy a device, let's say a new hard drive, you will not find a manual that tells you how to change the hard drive on your computer. However, if you go online to YouTube, you can immediately find hundreds of videos that may be even specific for the type of computer that you have, a model of computer that you have. Then you can just follow the videos and do it by yourself. So YouTube is great for doing that, for giving that added value to the products that you are selling and letting the users do that for you. As a brand, you have to monitor the fan created videos, because if they are giving a positive review or positive reinforcing messages about your products, then you should find a way to support them. And if they are giving negative comments about your brand or about your products, then you have to monitor them, but also be able to answer to them in a positive way, right? So, for instance, if there is a bad comment about you in a very popular YouTube site, also YouTube account, then probably as a brand you want to provide them with other evidence or another form of reply to that, to those comments. What are the trends on consumer video sharing? First one, that there are lots of video reviews of products. Second one, that content is created by the consumers, especially on the how-to videos, how to install everything, right? There is also that possibility of capturing real-time events, which allows people to have a different view than the one given by the normal broadcasters, right? So people start to get a more personal experience of what it's like to be in one of those shows, even though they are not physically there. What are the reasons that you go to social media? So the first one, of course, is because you want to engage fans. That means you want to engage, keep close to people that is interested on you, on your products. You want your brand more visibility, right? You want people to know what kind of products you have. You also want to have or give your customers or your fans, right, a place where they can interact with you. And eventually, you also want to generate some business leads and increase traffic on site. You do all this because you want to increase your brand image, and especially you can also include some keywords that will help people find you through the search engines. For instance, you may want to use, let's say, hashtag technology, hashtag learning technology. Okay, and then people that look for those two keywords will be able to find your videos and you online. It also helps you to gather customer intelligence, because by knowing what people says about you, then you can easily, know how they feel about your brand and if there are possibilities to improve uh, your products or your image is also there. And finally, you want to do this because you want to, not only engage fans but make them become loyal fans. And all this is going to be reflected on the amount of sales that you are able to create. Whatever you do on social media has to be reflected on sales, otherwise it is not being effective. Then what are the reasons for going to social media marketing? We will explain four of them here. First one is engaging fans. And for this, we are going to talk about the experience of Hooters. I don't know if there is Hooters in Vietnam, but in the US, right? Hooters is a restaurant which is characteristic because the waitresses are wearing short clothes, revealing clothes, and this did not feel good on the female customers, right? Which by years have been criticizing the way this company operates, mostly as the regular patron of Hooters, a male between 30 years, and the waitresses were quite young. So there was this bad idea about what Hooters was. And however, made something very interesting. They used social media to try to transform that perception that companies, so that people have about the company, And so by using the social media that was, very effective for attracting young people into their shops, and by allowing them to share their positive experiences, right, they attracted even more people into the shops. So that now the regular goer to a Hooters is normally a group of young people in the 20s and 30s that are, coming to just enjoy the experience and make it known to others. So that was a way of using social media marketing to transform yourself as a company and rejuvenate your brand. For driving traffic, right? The videos are also an excellent source for that. You can either provide a URL on the social media itself, or on the videos, or on the description of the videos, right? In a position where it's easy for people to see it. You can also use it to generate business leads, especially on LinkedIn. If you are a recognized professional and you share some information about your company with some links, that people will, follow those and create buzz around your brand and so your products. Overall, why is that you want to drive traffic? Is because you want to enhance your brand image, right? You want to either solve problems, you want to share information, or you want to get some insights into the how people is using your products. In terms of search rankings, in growing or improving your organic search rankings, that means you want to improve your visibility on the search engines without paying for it, right? So a good way to do this is because the search engine algorithms, they give a high ponderation to the social media links. And so if somebody is media, or somebody is tagging you as a brand on social media or using those hashtags, then that will be appearing on the on the search engine, and giving you a higher place on the hits, right? And then you can also try to use those hashtags so people can track some comments or some specific content that you are trying to share. For instance, if you want to talk about one specific topic, you can say support Microsoft, whatever, right? Support Uniqlo shirts or whatever, and then with a hashtag so people will find you easier through the search engines. Finally, one of the most important reasons why you can use social media marketing would be for customer intelligence. The biggest advantage here is when you are able to do this social listen to the comments that people are making on social media. It allows you to get a better idea of what people are feeling and thinking about you. Why? Because normally when you make a survey and you ask people, what do you think about my brand? They are likely to give you an answer that is, what they think that you want to hear. Not always they are going to give you their opinion, right? But it is likely that they will provide their own opinion on social media, their own experiences. So that part is very important for you in order for you to understand how your product is being perceived, used, and for you to understand which features are most welcome, which points are weak and need to be improved, so that you can eventually end with a product that is closer to the needs of your customers, right? And also, it can help you to detect very early if there are issues around your brand that you don't want to be associated with. Like in the US, for instance, if there is some racist comments, then you can take appropriate measures early to block those messengers, or you can block the posters, or you can just simply delete the comments and explain to people why you did that. To be a socially responsible brand, of course. Um, some of the functions of social listening are that you can detect problems with your products or services. You can get some topics or about what people is saying about your products, or maybe features that you didn't thought about as a company, or ways to use that you didn't know were possible, but you want them to own by other users. So you can monitor what people is saying and then use those topics to elaborate your own content. You can also predict trends and detect problems, the things of the users, so that you know that people on the market that is more starting to be more preferred than yours, and then you can find out why people is switching from the other products, from your product to the other products, and then you can devise a strategy to gain them back. In this process, you have to be able to, so people that and is willing to express that liking onto others. Brand advocates are the people who are, willing to make lots of comments. They have an emotional relation with your brand or with your product, and they do have the communicative skills to make their message clear onto others in a way that others will either reply or share those comments. And as a company, you have to be able to brand advocates and engage them with you, so that they spread out positive word about you as well. All in all, as we said, the main reason why you do social media marketing is because you want to increase sales. Therefore, whatever it is that you do on social media has to be seen on sales, right? That is the main performance indicator of your social media marketing campaign. You have increased sales. Okay. At this moment, I would like to make a break. There is some questions that you would like to ask. Questions? No questions, all clear? I guess what I'm telling you today is not something new, right? It's something that you already know. You know these companies, you know how people use them. In your marketing module, probably you have learned about social media marketing as well. So the only thing that I'm doing today is trying to give a shape, an order, which you can use, to analyze your P6, or if you are going to use other things that are not social media, at least you can use the logics for doing your own analysis, right? That's the only thing that I'm trying to do today. If there are questions, we can answer them now, or if you prefer, we can just have a break, right? No questions. Okay, so in that case, let's have a break. Right now is 10:25. We're gonna have a 15 minutes break until 10:40. Yeah, at 10:40.